Astrology, and this is the astrology of O.J. Simpson. If you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel if you're interested in astrology. I have hundreds of other videos with birth chart analysis just like this one. And O.J. Simpson, if you remember O.J. Simpson, if you were around back then, in my school, they made us watch the O.J. trial in school. We were watching on television the O.J. trial, and that was a Catholic school. So here we have him. He was a football player. Mars conjunct the North Node in the 10th house with Uranus. So clearly, with Mars being there with the North Node and Uranus in the same sign, this was an athlete. He was known as an athlete, known as a competitor. You could say known as a heady competitor, with that North Node being ruled by Mercury, and Mercury there in Cancer is retrograde. And with Uranus there, it's not conjunct Mars, but he could be known as a genius in that field, or unique, and someone who's unique. Also could be someone who's can be a little bit unpredictably wild at times. Again, it's not conjunct, but it is in the same sign, and Uranus is in the 10th house, so it could also be seen in the same light. We could look at some of the negative things he was seen as. Someone who would maybe go off at times for no reason. And I'm gonna look at next. I'm gonna look at there's a grand trine. He has a grand trine in water, and he's a sun in Cancer, and he's a sun in Cancer, moon in Pisces, Jupiter in Scorpio. Now, with the grand trine, this guy probably had an attractive personality. We see he has a very, by sign, a moon Venus trine, but it's moving quickly to a square. And with that, with all that water, and with that Mars Uranus in the 10th, is somebody, if you can't control their emotions, they can go off. So we see we have the negative, the neutral, and the positive expression of these water signs. And I don't know, I didn't know O.J. Simpson personally, obviously, but considering what happened with his, I believe it was with his wife, you can definitely see that it's a possibility that he, I don't know the whole story. I forget. It's been so long, but you can definitely see that this is somebody who would go off the handle when it comes to familiar family matters. And we can see down here with the 4th house Scorpio and Jupiter in the 4th house retrograde. So it's like redoing something to do with the family that has to do with death and, frankly, murder. And I know somebody, one of my best friends had Sun in Cancer, Pisces moon as well. And a quick side note story. This guy, when he went off. I mean, he cares deep. He's a caring guy. But when he went off, he went off. I remember one time he had road rage issues. He got out of the car, pulled this guy over with his car basically, got out of the car with a golf club, knocked this guy's side view mirror off, and got back in his car and drove away. So that's just an example of, I don't know where his Uranus and Mars was, but so anyway, Saturn Pluto in the 12th in Leo. So this is a performer, a guy who's, with that Pluto in the 12th, it comes from that Pisces, from that deep Pisces soul there with the Pluto in the 12th. And I believe, check out my video if you want to check out my video on Joys of the Planets. Is it Joys? I believe it's Joys of the Planets. There's a Saturn in the 12th is not necessarily, it's usually not a good place to have Saturn. It's known as bad bad something. I don't know. Traditionally, but that doesn't really. I don't really subscribe to that too much. Just an interesting side note here. We don't see Saturn in the 12th too often. At least I don't see it too often. We see Saturn Neptune sextile, so we have that. Uh, with his work being a football player, very opportunistic dream to come true there with the Saturn Neptune sextile. And back to the chart ruler, Leo. Leo's the chart ruler, and it's the Sun. It's in the 11th, and this could be a charmer. He also has Venus in the same sign as the Sun. Someone who can make a lot of friends, has a lot of friends. He enjoys having friends. But at the same time, it could also relate being in the 11th house to trauma. I haven't talked about this much, but anything in the 11th and or making a aspect to Uranus or planets in Aquarius can equate to trauma. So we see the Sun in the 11th, Uranus with the aspect to the Moon. There, it's making a square to the Moon. There's more evidence of somebody who just doesn't have control over their emotions, can be unpredictable. Perhaps can have, maybe in somebody else. I don't know if he had mental illness, but it could convey mental illness as well, especially with that Moon in Pisces. He's got a quintile between Mars and Moon, which I mentioned with athletes, this Mars Moon contact. He's got a quintile, which is a talent. And I definitely, you could see the obvious meaning to that being a talented football player. Jupiter on the south node or near the south node there. South node in Sagittarius could be someone who's coming from a place of being a traveler. Of course, being a professional athlete, he would have had to be familiar with traveling. And the ruler of that south node is in Scorpio. So, we see the Jupiter and expanding that Mars, being an athlete. Jupiter in Scorpio, Jupiter in Aries, very good placement to have for an athlete or someone who's competitive. It's got a Jupiter, as I mentioned before, Jupiter's also trining that Sun and that Moon. But I think I'm going to leave it there for now. There's probably plenty more to this chart. Feel free to comment below, and hope you have a great day.